For the pledge here. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Sorry it's a little bit after 5, but we had to take a little break after our executive meeting. But this time I'm going to, we usually open it up for anybody in the audience that has something that's not on the agenda. We can't act on anything that someone brings to us, but the floor is open for anyone that's got anything they want to say. All right, moving right along. Regional Development
Quick
Authority.
question, I'm sorry, so SSP will not be discussed tonight?
No,
Okay, thank you.
no. Regional Development Authority Community Foundation presentation. Mr. Meyer. Oh my gosh, there he is. He's important.
Mine's off.
Oh my God, Johnny.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you guys for that.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's like it's just 3 of you, right?
You want to go first?
No, you go first.
He talks a long
I
time.
know. I told him he has 9 minutes because I only need 1.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, I've done this to the city council, the county council, and now you all. John and Mike have been to a couple of our RDA meetings, and Randy, you haven't, because it's new and you're new. But if you take nothing away from this, I'd like for you to remember this, and that's cooperation, not competition. And that's really difficult when you're talking about 5 county areas. But the RDA is the Regional Development Authority. We've been in existence for now going on 4 years. We started in 2017, and we had a first meeting in January 2018, and there's 5 counties: Clark, Floyd, Scott, Jefferson, and Washington. And we have been meeting since January of 2018, hoping to duplicate what happened in 2015 when the governor put over $130 million in a fund, and it was set up for a regional development. 3 regional development authorities got money in that. We did not have an RDA at that time, and they got $42 million each. So our goal was to form, to be ready, because we thought at the time that there's going to be another pot of money put up. Well, that didn't happen, and but we kept moving on, having meetings, trying to bring people to the table to figure out some things. We did get a $150,000 grant from IEDC to develop a plan. It's called Our Region, Our Plan, I think, is that, if I remember right.
IADC.
Huh?
IADC.
IEDC.
Indiana Economic Development.
Economic Development. And so we have a plan. It's on oursouthern.indiana.org, plan.org, I think.
RSONRDA.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good plan. Check it out. Right down.
There is so much information, and what brings me here is the fact that RDA now we're in, I hate to say competition because I just told you cooperation, but there are approximately 11 RDAs in the state now. Some are inactive, others are not really formally RDAs, like Crane Naval Depot over there had one. Lafayette has something. But we, in 2015, three areas of the state got $42 million. And what it is trying to bring private investment using public funds and as a marriage, sort of. And we have been, our group went down to Evansville to look at their operation. It's amazing what they've done with their money. I mean, it is truly amazing what they have.
So they were one of them that got the 42
They were one.
million.
Evansville, East Chicago, Gary, and I think
You can't see a difference there though, can you?
where?
In
East
Gary.
Chicago. Well, I haven't been up there for a while. So
That's a pass-through city.
yeah, but they have utilized it. And what it was is trying to develop some regional collaboration. And that was the governor's big push. Well, we have been for the last 2 years, basically like a steamboat, just our wheel has been going around because there's no money. We have no staff. We've entered into a memorandum of cooperation with River Hills and One Southern Indiana, who now is handling our economic development. And their Wendy Denchester is amazing. The contacts and the opportunity she brings to the table, and she's been a tremendous leader for us. And so our economic development organization now is coordinated with One Southern Indiana, which I think is fantastic. But the governor this year put $500 million in, $500 million. They're going to award 10 RDAs at up to $50 million.
Really?
Yes, really. And so,
It's real.
yeah, it is, I mean, and we feel like,
So now you know you got money coming.
well, we know there is money.
There's
You
money
have to
there.
apply for it.
There's an
It's not-
opportunity.
And the problem with that is, nobody really knows yet exactly what it changes.
So that 50 million will be split up
No.
50 million
per?
per region. Yeah, 50 million per region.
And
Go ahead,
Back
I'm
up,
sorry.
No, that's what I want to
back
know.
up a second, you said, how many RDAs are there in the county, in the state?
Well, I asked Wendy that question Monday on our Zoom call. She thinks there's about 11.
Not
But-
certain that
but
each of those are
They're
active.
Active, that's
what-
right.
I heard you say that a while ago, that's why.
We don't know if they're active.
There's 500 million that the state is putting out, so there's a good chance if.
Right.
They're gonna become very active.
Yeah, well, yeah, unless they're deaf.
What we think is that the IEDC gave us $150,000 to develop this plan, and we went through this whole process. Actually, Friday, I'll get the date, June
Fourth,
4th, thank you,
you're welcome.
because I won't be there.
So,
IEDC is coming down to our board meeting out here at the Mid-American Science Center. So you all are welcome to
What's that
come.
date?
June,
It's Friday.
June 4th from
Fourth.
10 to 1, we strongly urge you
You-
to attend.
I mean, it's, the more support we can show,
Is that on Wednesday?
no, it's a Friday.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my niece and nephew, Kyle's kids, are graduating from high school on Saturday, so I'm not gonna be able to be there. I've already made plans to go south. But we're trying to develop this idea of collaboration. I can't promise you that Scott County's gonna have some big plan, because it's gotta be sustainable, it's gotta be regional. And that's the difficult part about it. We were talking about that out in the hallway. It's difficult to find something that will be able to affect all 5 counties. I don't know. But we're getting plans in, I guess. Wendy's gotten some proposals. The problem is, not the problem, but the way it's set up, it's a 20-20-60 situation. 20% local match, 20% government,
Grant, yeah.
grant funded, and then 60% private investment. So what they're trying to do is to bring private investment. Now, what do? I mean, what came to my mind was like a subdivision. A subdivision where you could go ahead and run the infrastructure, and that would be used as part of your 20% grant. But you have to find a private developer willing to invest in the process. But there are all kinds of things, and Missy could talk to that, I mean, if you need to. We don't know what, I mean, the board has not seen any of the plans that have been submitted
Well,
to them.
the question I have is what, if you went to Evansville to see what they used their $42 million for, what did they use it for?
Well, they have a medical school down there now. IU Med School.
Like it, so IU Med School.
Yeah,
Well, and like how I think Wendy explained it, that one of the very first projects was one of the communities in that region did not have a health clinic. And they were
Posey
very-
Oh, yeah, the health
So-
clinic.
Yeah, so they had a rural health clinic as part of their first project.
So what they did was, the county said, hey, we need to build, or somebody, because, most of those regional aren't owned by private identities, are they? Like, I guess IU would own their own
Yeah.
buildings and stuff, so
but
you had to
the
get,
investment from the part of the RDA and at that time, and I don't know what the regional match was, I don't know what,
I think they said it ended up being about 70.
70-30.
Private
Yeah,
investment.
Yeah, 70% was private investment. But they've taken a dilapidated area of Evansville, and it's amazing to see. Now, my question was, how'd you get Warwick and all of the surrounding counties? But it benefited everybody because, you know, it has a place, there are trained doctors right there.
Yeah.
And-
then-
And the clinic too, that's a good
Well,
example.
that's what I was trying to see, what kind of projects you're talking about.
Well, we don't know, you
Right,
know.
right. And then, yeah, the other end of the spectrum is Evansville also, as I understand it, downtown, maybe in a not so developed area or more of a dilapidated area, created this system to capture rainwater that was then utilized to water their, you know, they had new sidewalks, new lighting, and a way to water their things with rainwater, which then brought the business to build in the dilapidated area. And so that was your private investment. So they built it and they came because it was a beautification effort. You
Then
know, so
I talked to a state senator in that area. I'll think of her name in a minute. But she said, one guy gave, I forget how many millions of dollars, and they went and gave him a key to the city, or, you know, something. He said, well, I really would like to have the keys to the city, you know. He gave that much money. But the development that occurred out of that, now, I will tell you, and you all know it, River Ridge drives our economy. Whether we like it or not, it does drive our economy. But as I said to the city council, where are those people? They've got 10,500 people working down there right now. They project they'll have 17,500 in a couple of years. Where are those people going to live?
Yeah.
We have cheap land in Scott County. Now, you know, you say, oh, no, but compared to across the river, it's very cheap.
Well, I know a boss of mine, or an old boss of mine, he's looking to sell in LaGrange to come here. And he's getting ready to retire, and he said,
So we have advantages, and, you know, we're not that far away. And, you know, we just thinking, and we've talked about this before, Jefferson County, you know, State Road 62, it's a mess. I mean, it needs to be improved. We have State Road 3 coming in. I mean, is that something that we're thinking about? Salem, they're worried about Indiana 60 that comes out of Floyd County going to Salem. You know, transportation is part of it. There's,
well, the infrastructure as far as, you know, the utilities, electric, I think we're fine any place in southern Indiana, but when you start talking sewers and water, because I know, of course, I think Stucker Fork still goes to the wells at Marble Hill, don't they?
they do have, yes.
Yeah, it is a backup, so.
But there's we did hear this proposal one time at the RDA. At one time, there was talk of running a water line all the way from River Ridge or the old ammunition plant that there's question who still owns it, you know, all the way up I-65 to Columbus.
Wow.
Because Salem has a water problem, and they're building a bigger dam, whatever. But it's a problem having water. I can remember as a kid, Morgan shutting down. At some time we didn't have water, you know, to cool the cans. So water is a big asset regionally, but there's all kinds. The proposals are watered
Except
on
for certain times of the year.
Yeah. Then some other times we have too much water. The proposals are watered on economic impact, degree of regional collaboration, and impact to rural areas. Well, I mean, that's a good thing for us. And so we have not seen any of the proposals yet. We're gathering proposals. The only problem with this whole thing is the timeline. We have until, I'll tell you,
It's end of August, it's due.
August 31st is when they're going to award
they're due.
The applications are due.
application. That's right. Application. I haven't looked at my notes for a while.
They'll award by Christmas, I think, is what the hope is. Right?
Yes, but we have to have,
So you're saying we have to have a project or multiple projects.
we need to have them turned in to the RDA because we have a scorecard. We're going to try to come up with what are we going to submit to the IEDC. And when we find that out, we're going to try, when they get ready to look at this, we're going to try to take a bunch of people up there and show the support regionally for what we're doing. And that,
So the $50 million, what you're saying is that they're not, it's not gonna be something they award to the local RDA. and
To then use as they wanna do.
And then you say, hey, I'm banking this money, then you guys give me
No.
what you wanna do. You have to have your proposal
we have to
to
have
them.
shovel-ready programs.
Okay.
And
And you, again, you went from anything that's catching rainwater and to revitalize
Yeah, anything that
They
fits
got
in, you can fit into economic development, regional impact, regional collaboration, and affecting rural areas.
Okay.
There will be a call for projects sometime in July, but we know it's coming. That's why we're here now, to
Yes.
get your wheels turning.
So the other part of this, I'd go back to the 20-20-60. So if we had whatever project that, if we could come up with a project for the county, we would have to come up with 20% of it. Correct?
yes,
Is the way I understood they explained it, if you had a,
it can,
You can use current projects.
it's
Yeah.
kind of local and state match
can you use-
50-50.
My initial question
And
was,
then
can you
60%
use
in private
ARP
investment is
money
attracted.
as a match?
That's an after.
Yeah.
Come up with.
Yeah.
Because ARP money is supposed to be for economic development too. That question hasn't been answered. And I don't know.
No, we don't.
I mean, it's like ARP. ARP, you don't know what you can use. I mean, you've heard,
Well, haven't seen it yet. Well, actually, I have. I've got an email that.
there's
I-
151 page,
Yeah, and it's
but it's still like,
in the woods.
Yeah.
Actually, there's supposed to be some conference calls that, people getting together and trying to explain what you can and can't do, but. I
but don't feel like the Lone Ranger, because every
Yeah.
commission,
They've got like
Yeah,
areas you can go to, but it doesn't define.
no, it doesn't nail it down exactly what you can use the money for.
Which is, we'll wing it. and see what
Well,
happens.
you know, as we said before, one of the guys that we're, a banker that's going to work for us is, he's just gonna be, it looks exactly like PPP money. You know, where they had all of the regulation stuff, and then all of a sudden the government said,
let's streamline
Use
it
it.
to this.
use it. Well, it was so difficult for them, and this is a lot of money to administer.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to
Well, I
come
wanna-
and let you know,
I think, and not off the top of my head, because the county's kind of different than the two cities. You know, we have roads and some other stuff that we need, but I don't know if you can all do it in roads, but you can, I know cities would have more bigger project than the county would have. And the only thing outside of the county we could do something is if we're talking about like regional sewer districts and
yes.
stuff like that.
That came to my mind too, because that inhibits growth.
That is coming up, by the way, some issues on that.
That
Yeah.
inhibits
Oh, yeah.
growth. So, you know, like regional sewer districts, I think, and that leads to this fine lady who's forward together.
I will be very quick. So you all should
He
have
went over
received-
9 minutes.
I
So,
know,
no.
I know. He left
Well,
me
I-
like 30 seconds. I think you all have received a copy of this that we did last year. So this was the first step into our next plan, which is our Scott County Vision Plan for community development. What do we all envision Scott County to be? So that's what we're working on right now. We've got a lot of different committees in the community that are working on different issues, you know, substance abuse, arts and recreation, early childhood, housing. There's a lot of different things that all of these committees are working on, which we're then hoping to bring together into this vision plan. I don't think the vision plan will probably be released this fall, so I don't think the timing of it will be able to be in time, you know, for ready grant things. But I want to put that out there because I know there's a lot of money coming to Scott County. We talked about the Ready grant, we talked about the ARP, hopefully the opioid settlement. I got a little worried when I saw, you know, that was on but there's a lot of money coming into Scott County that we've never had before. And we have this tremendous potential here to transform Scott County into something that we've never seen before, something that's way better than it was pre-COVID. But in order to do that, we've all got to work together.
Yep.
You know, we have to make sure there's no duplication of resources, that we're all on the same page, that we're planning together, that, you know, when we get our vision plan put together, that it's not just going to sit on a shelf. You know, it's gonna be a result of everybody in the community giving their input. So then we're gonna need everybody to work together to implement everything in there. So, which is gonna take a lot of money and planning and grants, but if we can leverage the money that's coming in here along with other grants that are out there, then, you know, that's where we can make a huge impact. So I just kind of wanted to, you know, briefly give you an update of where we're coming from and just make sure that we all, having stakeholder engagement is going to be a crucial part of this. Like you all have to, I think, the parties have to kind of sign off on that, I think is.
Yeah.
You will have to adopt the plan in August to be.
And we want it as regional as we can get it. And again,
I know you're our representative for the RDA, but I mean, are each of your members from other counties doing the same thing, or are you guys,
Well-
are you as a group gonna do the whole thing?
no, we as a group,
No, I'm saying, so you're gonna bring Scott County's project possibly to the RDA, and then John Jones is gonna bring Washington County's to the RDA, and
I don't get that feeling. I don't get that
so you
feeling.
think that
I think it helps.
they're all gonna go to the group, and the group's gonna take the projects?
Oh, yeah, it's gonna have to go to the group. I mean, we have to sign off. And that's the difficult part of this. I mean, I'm fortunate, I go around to a lot of the counties. So, I mean, I talked to John 2 weeks ago and at Floyd County Commissioners, and I'm going to Jefferson County tomorrow night. But we just want you to know what's out there. It's a golden opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, it is.
And we don't want to let it slip through our hands.
Well, if you have an opportunity for $50 million for southern Indiana, I think that's tremendous, so.
Well, and the plan that Steve had referenced earlier, I would strongly encourage you all to go to the website, and there's plans for each of the counties. So there's a Scott County plan that has a work list of here's all the things, you know, that we want to see for Scott County, and then there's the entire region plan. And they're gonna be updating it because this was a couple years
Yeah.
old, I think
And
is when they wrote it.
It may not meet the specs of what the money is
What
now.
was that website again? Our Southern Indiana?
It's just OURSO.
You should have a copy here. We left,
IN.
I
sorry.
present you.
RSON, so not Southern Indiana, it's RSONRDA.org.
But
And if
you
you go to the
should-
Community Foundation website, under community plans, I've got a
Okay.
link from there as well. But even if it's gonna change and be updated, it's still a really good plan, just to kind of familiarize yourself with what's going on in the region.
Well, even if, and like I said earlier, the county's kind of stuck in a rut here, because I could see it more for us, the cities, than I could for the county.
Well, it's based on the regional cities initiative.
Yeah,
is
but
this-
where I'm going is that maybe we can partner with Austin, Scottsburg, and the county and come up with a plan for the whole community. And that benefits both cities and the county.
Well,
So-
I'm saying we need to have the city of Austin, the city of Scottsburg,
So you
and
want
Scott
three.
County. I mean, yes.
Okay.
But then we really have to have some buy-in from Floyd, Clark,
Yeah.
Washington, and Jefferson counties. And that's the difficult part, because there's, it hasn't been a problem because we haven't had any money.
Well, now.
John came to our meeting a couple weeks ago on Friday. We had 82 people there. We've had an average of 32 to 35 people on a Zoom call every Monday at 3 o'clock. You couldn't stir people with a stick at our meetings. They didn't, you don't have any money, we don't have any use for it. Now all of a sudden, there's this pot of money out there,
Everybody's
and all of a sudden,
gonna spend it.
everybody's coming out of the woodwork.
Imagine that.
They all want to spend it.
Well, and I
Everybody's got a
don't,
project.
I don't know if I should mention this or not, but Harrison County elected not to play, not to join.
They got a lot of money.
But now
Yeah, now.
they're gung ho.
Yeah.
They're all in. So it shows you how the county council, they're the ones that joined this first. I think Scott and Floyd were about the first two county to come on board. And then Jefferson and Scott or Jefferson and Washington and Floyd came on. But I just wanted you to fill in. It's an evolving thing, just like ARP. It's evolving daily almost. how we look at it and what we can use the money for, what's the plan? We don't even know what the application looks like.
Yeah. Well, and that's always the kicker, is you never know what you can use it for and what projects. And then,
Well, yeah.
And then at the end, they're
Federal
gonna,
money or just?
It's the Fed money that put into the states. It's the state is running this.
The reason I was asking, I was talking to Tammy earlier today, and I was like, as we go through this, who's gonna be our authority over us to tell us what we're doing right and wrong? And so I'm assuming they're gonna find this a lot more as we go. And I asked who would be answering, well, probably be answering the federal audits. Is that correct? Yeah.
Because whenever you, with the ARP money especially, they're gonna meet, you've got criteria that you're supposed to meet, and they give you 4 distinct outlines, but
Yeah.
depends on how broadly you wanna look at those 4 distinct
Yeah.
outlines of what you can do.
This will be IEDC.
Well, I know, but
Yes.
that's why I asked with federal money involved in it.
But
I
we do have,
assume
we're
there
federally
could-
audited now every year, because we have well over $750,000 threshold now,
And
so.
I'm guessing they would take a look at this money
We will
too.
be federally audited and state board of council
So,
audited. And
Oh,
if
I see.
we're not.
It's all the more reason
we
gotta be a
compliant
little
with the
more-
project, We have to give the money
make sure we're
back.
doing.
So,
Well, no, I don't think so. I think this is all gonna come through the RDA. The RDA has gotta be the ones that, we're the government entity
Okay.
in
so
this.
if the RDA in your situation says this is a good project, then we don't have to worry about it not being a good project. We won't have to refund those monies.
No.
Unlike the ARP money.
Unlike the ARP money.
But it's
monies are
also-
different.
So the RDA will define this a lot more for us as we go.
Yes.
is River Hills involved in this?
Yes.
Yes.
But that's something
They're our
else.
financial
I was
agent.
gonna say, cause just like, Life Spring, the building and all that construction, you guys, man, I mean, all you did is come say, hey, we're moving this money over here to here, and it was taken care of, so they managed the whole project, so I'm sure if that's,
They manage our $150,000 grant.
well, and that's what I'm saying, is that if we come up with a project and we are lucky enough to have the funds to, the 20% or whatever that we can have to use, you're going to probably, going to, manage the money anyway.
We can't answer to that
Yeah,
yet because
yeah.
we're not sure what the back end of it will look like. It is our hope that we will be involved, and we don't have any indication that we wouldn't
Well,
be.
at this point, all you're saying is, hey, look around, find a
Look around.
project, find a
That's a-
project.
And just become aware and come to our meetings, please. I mean, you have, and John has. We had our meeting schedule set up every other month. All of a sudden, the money appears. Now we got to meet quite a bit, And but I did want to keep you informed because I serve you all, and I've tried to do that along the time that I've been on it. And like I said, we have a great group of people that are making those kinds of decisions. Dana Huber represents Clark County. John Jones, Washington County. Kenny Rush is in Floyd County. Kevin Kellums is in Jefferson County, and myself for you all. But one of the things we started out doing is that, I'm from Scott County. Well, at our RDA meetings, but we tried not to do that now because we want to think we're a part of a region. And Wendy keeps reminding us, now listen, even though you represent Scott County, we're part of something bigger now. And that's difficult. I understand that. I mean, we're competitive. Everybody wants to be competitive. But you got to look at the bigger picture. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what we're trying to do.
And really, point one would be pay attention to that regional impact.
Yeah, it's got to have regional impact.
How does it affect outside the county? Even if you are working with the 2 cities within, the county really is not regional in nature. You've got to
You
look
can't
beyond
have
those
something
borders.
that's, this is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread for Scott County. Well, if it doesn't have any kind of regional impact, it's going to go out. It's going to go out the door. It won't pass. It won't muster.
And an RDA board will take some sort of application proposal or something and shake out the ones they're gonna have the best return on investment.
So is there gonna, I mean, I know it's kind of in the beginning of the stages of this, but I go back to what are similar projects? I mean, cause I'm trying to get an idea, because you're saying, okay, it has to be a project, but then the project in Scott County has to kind of filter in to the other counties and kind of benefit them as well. So,
I would, and I can find the link and share it with you. There,
The regional cities.
yeah, the Regional Cities Initiative, just, you can Google it, but I can also Google it and try to share it with all of you and look at what Evansville has done. I mean, there's lists of projects, there's pictures, there's, you know, what the ultimate goal of was the project, what they've done. That's gonna be, I think, your best resource, other than us just,
And
you
the
know.
Stellar City program too was somewhat,
Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
was more localized,
Right.
but we've heard that a lot too.
okay. I'd just like to know what kind of, I mean, I'd hate to come up with some ideas or projects or whatever, and then it says, well, that's not really the ideas we were having. but-
We want
or the area that
proposals.
you need.
We want proposals, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
We want proposals.
So,
And, you know, it can't be just the five of us thinking. We've got to have bunches of people thinking.
yeah,
You know, and that's another reason why I want you all to, you know, be involved. You all know, and you're not like the mayor or of a city, but you are the administrative head. But, you know, look out there and see what's, I mean, we'll take anything, at least look at it.
yeah,
We're going to.
yeah. Okay.
Sorry, we went over 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Questions?
I had you in school, so I
we
knew.
went over, what did we went over?
Well, I just want to, we want you to be involved. And I thank you for your support.
Well,
And it's been good for us.
we appreciate the work you do for us, because you're our rep, so
You brought it to us.
I'll try to keep you informed.
well, if you'd stay in the country a little bit more, you'd be able to.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess you're staying up here.
I'm staying.
A grant update for the COVID small business funds.
Yeah, and I don't have a whole lot unless you have any questions for me to answer, but what I met with the redevelopment board last week, and John was there, and Iva, and Carl Stout was in attendance. And I went through kind of a timeline for your loan applications for the small businesses. So what we're trying to do, and I think I've mentioned it more than once before, is work very closely with the city of Scottsburg, since they also received a lot of grant funds to get rid of. Right now, the city of Scottsburg is receiving grant applications through the 24th of May. I spoke with their grant administrator today, and she said they may have to extend that deadline. They have not received.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. So I don't know that for sure right now as it stands, unless they come in last minute, which is very possible. But I'm just gonna tell you how I came to proposing a timeline for you all. So based on their timeline, they were going to propose a list of projects after going through I think they use their redevelopment board to review those as well. They were gonna propose, presenting a list to their council, I think it was June 14th. That would have, I was thinking, opening the grant application period on June 1st and ending it on June 30th. That kind of gives you 2 weeks to capture whomever may not have been funded through the city, because you can fund those businesses as well. But we want the city to be able to, you know, get as many people within their incorporated limits as they can, and then try to capture whatever they may have left.
But we
that they
did
can't
kind
fund.
of decide to only pick up Scottsburg after if we had any left over in the county in Austin.
That's the way I understood, yeah, you all.
Because they
yeah.
have $250,000
Right.
and they get the first shot.
Mhm.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hopefully they use it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of a problem we thought would happen.
I've never seen a problem where you
That's
got money to
amazing.
give somebody
Well-
and you don't have enough people to get
I
it.
think people are just generally afraid of the process. They don't understand the process, so they just don't try or look into it. I don't know what the reasoning is, but we've tossed around a couple ideas. I'm gonna speak with Jill Segesser. I'm not gonna say it here until I talk to her. But I met with the city of Scottsburg on something else today, and there was an idea that was brought up that was a pretty good one. So I think there's a couple of ways we can attack that if we have some trouble.
So the county's debt, or the opening is gonna be June the 1st through the 30th?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Here's why, we really can't, we will be able to extend that a bit, I think, to allow for time on the end for the redevelopment commission to go through and score and then present a list to you all. But we have a deadline we have to meet with Okra, the funding agency, sometime in mid-August, I think, which means they have to receive whatever list we've proposed and approve those and release the money. So we're running against that deadline, so I didn't want to go too far beyond June 30th. We may have to if we don't have the
That was
applications.
the question I was gonna
Yeah.
ask, is there a deadline?
Yeah, so we'll just kind of keep close tabs, and Tammy and I are gonna work very closely together. You know, we're gonna try to review any applications we receive during the period, so if there's any documentation that's lacking, we can get with those businesses during that time period, so we can be prepared at the end to,
Question?
No.
Question?
no.
Just so you'll be something in the newspapers, similar to what Scottsburg's done?
I hadn't planned on newspapers, we were talking about like WMPI and social media. I mean, if you all have a connection with the newspaper and want to
So
put
you're
something
talking
in
about
there. Yeah.
getting to the businesses?
Yes.
Mhm.
Or what about the Chamber of Commerce? I mean,
Yes, I've already spoken with, actually, I communicated with Kelly today on a business, so.
And talking about that, there was it's a little hard to understand, but there's just an awful lot of these businesses are not members because.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right too.
Yeah,
But-
so
but
that-
that was gonna get a bunch of them,
Yeah.
but you're right, there's a lot of people that aren't members of the chamber.
We talked
so.
about that at redevelopment last, we
Mhm.
cannot solely depend on them to,
Well, I guess the question here, and I wouldn't have a problem doing this as a suggestion, I guess, to the board here, is, you know, the county businesses that we have outside of both city limits, I mean, you're talking less than 30
I
probably.
have no idea.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head, why not send them a letter and saying, hey, there's money available and here's how you apply, you know, and I mean, that's 30 or 40 stamps, I mean, I don't see why we couldn't get some sort of letter and just kinda, I mean, we know what businesses are out there outside the city limits of Austin, outside the limits of Scottsburg, so.
What about a town? I mean, you know, like Lodger,
Mhm.
or Lexington, or they would be able to.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah, it's,
they're eligible by location. I can't sit here and say each individually are eligible, but, you know, by location, they would be eligible to apply. Then if they meet those specific requirements under,
yeah,
yeah, so absolutely.
it's anybody outside the city limits, but ours would be, because Austin technically didn't apply, so every business in Austin could apply, and then anybody out in the county, so,
Yeah.
so,
That's kind of what we talked about the
Yeah.
other day. And then if just by some chance we don't get rid of it, whatever's left over. in
I don't think
Scottsburg.
we'll have a problem getting rid of it, I think Scottsburg might have a problem, and they may
Yeah.
have to open theirs up, so, so.
But we are working together. Jill Segesser sent me about 4 businesses who had applied last time, who were not actually within the incorporated limits. So I already have them, that we can approach, so. Tammy's gonna have hard copies available in her office once June 1st comes, and then we'll have everything available on the website. I don't know if you want that under, probably the auditors.
Probably so.
Yeah,
Can they-
yeah.
Can they apply online?
They will be able to capture, no, it's not
So they'll be able-
electronic, yeah,
'cause they'll be able to print the app.
they can download and, yeah. That's my hope anyway. I think Tammy
Yes.
confirmed that we could
Okay.
do that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, but, yeah, in the meantime, just talk to people. I've definitely been contacted by a couple of different people already, so I
Yeah,
just
I
told
have.
them to hang tight
I
and
have too.
we weren't quite
Yeah.
there yet, so, and I still haven't
And
received a
actually,
grant
the other
agreement.
part of this, and I guess I wanna clarify this, since a lot of people watch these meetings. Is there specific things they have to spend it on?
Well, it's, no, I'm not gonna think of it. It's basically operating expenses that they may have
So if
lost
they got
due to COVID.
payroll expenses,
They have to prove it.
utilities, or whatever.
Yeah, they have to prove the loss, and that's all as part of the application
Or if they were shut
process.
down for an extended period of time.
Can they reopen if they get this grant, you know, something of that, they're gonna have to produce some sort of narrative, a paragraph or 2, stating what their hardships were. And it can't be, like, if they had already applied to the city, just using the city as an example,
Yeah.
since they've had 2 prior rounds. If they had already applied to the city, they're gonna have to have needs above and beyond what they already justified to the city in prior rounds. They've gotta
Okay.
have
Just
needs
one
beyond
that's
that.
not good enough, you gotta be able to explain it.
Right,
And
right, yeah.
I'm curious to look at the grant or the
It's
application.
a very, I'd say the hardest part is gonna be the narrative, and if they can just tell their story like they were telling it to you face to
Yeah.
face, then I think it'll be, you know.
Yeah.
And we're here to help, I mean, we all have a decent understanding,
And
so.
that's the other thing too, is that, the application will be run through you, or are they gonna be run through?
It's gonna come to the auditor's office, and
Okay.
Tammy and I will work together on running through that documentation and preparing it for the review of the redevelopment board.
Because we want it to be as complete as it can get before it gets to you guys, because if it's not complete, then you guys can't,
Yeah.
correct score it.
Yeah.
So that's where we're
Yeah.
gonna try to do some damage control.
Right.
so to speak, beforehand. And I wanna ask you a question, could it be as simple as somebody like, for example, I know somebody that has, they operate a beauty shop
Yep.
business out of their home.
Actually, those are,
Yeah, so like,
Somebody-
if they can only have 50% of their clientele during COVID due to having to space and clean and whatnot, they could actually go back and say, you know, look at their
Yes.
appointment books and say, this is all I could book from here to here. Due to COVID, I
Mhm.
lost $10,000 in
Yep.
customer revenue, right,
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
clientele. So that would be something that would be applicable, right?
yes, and it's even my understanding going beyond, sorry, John, go
No,
ahead.
you're good, go ahead.
Okay, beyond that, it's my understanding, and I do wanna clarify, but if there is a salon that has 5 workers and then you have your owner, and your owner applied on her own behalf as the shop owner and a worker in there, the others can apply on their own.
They're independent contractors.
That's my understanding, and we would definitely want to double check on that, but that is my understanding, so
Yeah.
it makes sense, why should they,
Yeah, because the owner could keep the money for themselves,
yeah,
and those
And-
people are renting a chair.
right, right,
And somebody asked me this the other day, and it seemed like an easy answer, I think it is they have to be a legitimate business.
mhm,
There's people who operate
Right.
just through cash and
yeah,
sorry
yeah.
about their luck.
Right, yeah, and, yeah,
Yeah.
You-
mhm.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and all of that is defined in the, I can't give it to you verbatim here, but it's all in the documentation, yeah. So unless there are any other
I'm done.
questions?
Well, the question came to me was like,
Oh, sorry.
will they, if you give them 5,000 or whatever it is, do they have to pay taxes on it?
They do.
That's okay. That was
So
what I
that
thought.
was not
Yeah.
clarified in previous rounds,
Yeah.
as I understand it.
Yeah.
They do,
So-
is my understanding,
It's
so.
income.
But in my opinion, you're getting $10,000,
Yeah,
so
that's what I look
10,000
at
you
it.
didn't have, so I'm not offended if I have to pay taxes on
Yeah, that's
it.
what, you
Yeah.
gotta put that in the.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
so, all right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate
Yep.
it.
as always, appreciate it.
All right, absolutely.
Michelle. Michelle.
Haven't seen you lately.
No. Haven't talked to anybody, haven't seen you guys. So much cooler in here tonight. That's for sure.
Tammy's trying to freeze us out.
I think it's,
Okay,
I think it's pretty nice
But
myself.
outside-
You've never heard me say that before, have you? Too cold.
I'm glad I didn't see you in a tank top and hair short.
So, since I've been with the health department, so over 5 years, we've had the immunization grant through the state. So, half of it pays for our second public health nurse. The other half of it, or the other part of the grant, we just get like supplies. This year, we're gonna buy like a new freezer for our vaccines, because obviously we're holding a lot more vaccines. So this grant application is just a renewal of that grant. It'll come active in July and in June of next year. For the state this year, they made it really easy, and basically if we got it this past grant cycle, they just re-awarded everybody the exact same amount. And so it's $58,084. So it's not a match, reimbursable, like, all that good stuff. So council approved it last week, and so I'm just here to ask you guys to approve it.
No, anybody got any questions?
And I'm catching up here. It's a
Yes.
grant to you for what purpose again?
Immunization, so it pays for half of our public health nurse number 2 salary and benefits. And then the other part of the grant, we buy supplies, equipment, different things like that.
But we spend it out of the county and then it's reimbursed.
Yeah, reimbursable.
Yeah, that's what it says, I want to make
Yes.
sure of that.
Got a motion from Randy to accept.
Second.
John seconds it, I'll make that unanimous. So,
Went from 3 hours to 3 minutes, so.
how was that? What is today?
Today's the 18th, I think. Is that right?
19th.
19th, okay. Do you guys have any questions for me about anything
Nope.
else, or vaccines or anything?
No, I'm probably gonna have on a different subject, I'll probably have some questions on gonna send to you to get some answers
Okay,
on.
sure. I will say that I talked to, Mr. Houston's office this week, on those properties. Do you remember I came to you guys probably a month or 6 weeks ago about those? They are ready to set a hearing for those. So do you want me to put that on for your second meeting in June? One of the individuals is still incarcerated, so I think he has the right to be here. I don't know if you wanted to do a special time, like during the day where Jerry's officers could bring him over. I don't know if he'll do.
What do we need to do? I mean, if you have a hearing,
Yeah, so you guys are the hearing, basically.
we are the hearing board.
We're the ones that are condemning the properties, so.
Correct.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay.
So,
So I guess, have you heard back from any of the 3 landlords?
so the individual that's incarcerated, yes, and his response was basically, I'll work on it whenever I get out of here. And then the other individual, they did not have a mailbox, so the sheriff's department was supposed to deliver the letter to them yesterday or today. So,
So what about the third one?
I think it was just 2.
Oh, I thought there was 3.
I think it was just 2. Lovers Lane and, I can't remember.
The other one out here.
Yeah, one was in your district, and one was in your district. I remember that.
One of them's on,
John's out.
yeah. In Frankfurt.
Them two.
Yes. So, do you want me to, like I said, do you want to put that on the agenda for the second meeting in June? Do you want to have it a separate time?
I
Because
think it needs to be at a different meeting.
Okay.
So-
Do you want me to just work with Mike on that then, or,
I don't know.
okay.
I'm not on how those things work. I've never been to a hearing on this before.
Yeah, this will be my first one too.
Be the first I've ever seen.
So who leads this thing? I mean, the attorney
You
come
guys,
over? or-
yeah, I think that we'll ask them to be present. I'll make sure that we have adequate notice, I'll ask the attorneys.
I
on
think
that.
it's probably gonna be something like what the area plan does. They're gonna come in and they're gonna say whatever and we're
Or
gonna
they
say
don't
yes
show
or
up at
no.
all? Yeah.
Yeah, plead their case on what.
Why?
I think in the past, people have said, well, I can clean it up and I will pay this person to do it, and they
Yeah,
do
sometimes
that,
it
or
happens or it doesn't.
or you guys agree to, well, you're not gonna clean it up in a timely manner, like you're gonna be in there for years, so we're gonna just do it and add it to
Well-
the property tax.
The one that I'm thinking about on New Frankfurt, it's not even, this shouldn't even be livable. The one on the other is, I drove past it, a week ago and it's got caution tape up around it now or some sort of.
Yeah,
tape
but I
up
think
around it.
I think there's still people on the property.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I thought that too, but.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess I got a question along with that, so, cause I know you're talking about 2 properties, but I know there's more out there.
Yeah,
So, and I had people approach me and ask me, what do I do? And I said, well, you gotta file a complaint.
yeah,
I can't do it.
Right.
I can't just go, well, I'm gonna go pick these houses out of.
Yeah, just-
I said, you have to go to the health department, file a complaint.
Yes.
They'll go investigate,
Yes.
come back, have an answer.
we usually kind of send them a letter, give them a chance, try to communicate with them, and then if it's something that just.
Well, my goal is, and I know the city of Austin, the city of Scottsburg, both are really pushing people to clean their properties up.
Yeah,
I would love to be on the same page as both of them and say, I don't care if you live outside the city limits, you have neighbors.
right.
Your neighbors don't wanna see that stuff.
Right.
And it also protects your neighbor as well as far as your property value or anything else. So I'd love to see us
Yeah.
kinda adopt the same thing that those people are doing, or the 2 other cities are doing,
Right.
plus, and have the enforcement that they're doing, because they're not sitting on their hands anymore. They're telling them, clean it up, or we're gonna clean it up, and you're gonna get a tax bill.
Right. Yeah, we have some ordinances like that. So like if there's trash, we have the ordinance for trash. Again, kind of send them a letter, give them some time to do it. And maybe that's something that we need to discuss, because the person that we usually have go out and do that, told us that he does not want to do that anymore this year.
Talking about
So,
court. Talking about court.
Sold his business.
Hmm?
He sold his business.
No,
Yeah.
that's part of it. He's still got the hauling stuff, but he doesn't mow
Yeah,
anymore.
So, and it's not a large enough amount where we would have to bid that out. So I don't know how you guys wanna, if you just.
So
wanna
you're
say
talking about
it's
strictly mowing?
mowing and the trash, because that will start to come those complaints will start to come in within the next month or two.
Well, I think at that point, I think we need to probably advertise and say, hey, if you're interested without bidding, you know, if you want to put your name on, and it might be a rotation, it might not be the same person every week or
Yeah.
every time, it might be say, hey, you know, like the record service, who did it this time, who wants to do it the next time, so.
Okay.
Cause there might not be somebody that wants to do it, be held responsible all the
Yeah,
time,
well, it's
so.
kind of like,
Mowing's
you give us a price, and then we give you the property, and that, it could be an
Yeah.
easy job, or you could be
Yeah,
a little.
most of the time, you know, mowing's not the big deal, it's picking up all the stuff that, the
Right, to
debris
make- to
I'll
let it- yeah, To
use.
get to mowing,
Yeah,
yeah.
so, okay.
Okay,
All right, any questions?
I'll work with Mike then, and we'll get a date set, make sure that we're compliant as far as like notice to the people and all that good stuff, and then,
No, I will be gone June 19th for a week, we're gonna have.
okay, so maybe look
Leave
at
that
the first
in
part
there.
of July
After our
or
next
something.
meeting.
Yeah,
June
Okay.
19th.
I think that's it for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you,
Yep.
I'll get you a list,
Yeah,
I will.
I'm gonna make a copy this time.
Thank you.
All right, looks like the county attorney position. I know our executive session tonight, we talked with an attorney that we had previously, had a vote on and then wanted to speak to him before we made it official, so I guess, anybody got any comments?
Well, I think I made last meeting, or changed it. I will say the guy is good, I think he'd be a great attorney, I'm not issues with him at all. But I'm still in favor of hiring a local attorney for him. And we have two of them there. So that's just me.
Comment?
We need, yeah, I'll vote the same. I'll make a motion.
All right, well, Randy's made a motion for Zach Stewart, which is the, attorney that we spoke to earlier tonight. He actually came in, a few meetings ago on a council's side and, when they were looking for an attorney too, but I think we as a county government really, I think they're their own board, so they can do whatever they want, but I think they came to the conclusion that they don't use an attorney that much to even, have a so-called attorney, and if they need one, they can reach out. Zach did say they could ask him any questions he wants, he just doesn't want to get in a conflict between the council and the commissioners. But if they had an out of the blue question once in a while, that yes, he'd be more than happy to give them that advice, so, he's not a resident of Scott County, I know that, he grew up on 160 I'm gonna call, what is it, Three Corners?
Yankeetown.
Three
Yankeetown.
Three Corners, the county of Clark, Washington, and Scott on 160. Not saying he's not a Scott County native, but anyway, Randy made a motion to nominate Zach Stewart for the county attorney, and that is a year-to-year contract. Starts, if we do this tonight, it'll start today and end on December 31st, and we'll sign or vote on another contract. But as he said tonight, if you're not happy with me, you can fire me at any time. So anyway, Randy made a motion, I'll second that,
And I'll vote no.
and John's going to vote in the negative,
And I
so.
just, well, I won't go on that, that's okay.
Huh?
I just think we got two of them there, 'cause that's fine.
I get that.
Yeah.
All right, so Tammy, can you send him a notice?
I will contact him, how's that, and then,
And actually, what I'd like to see is, I don't think any of this board needs to be there, but I'd like that for him to set up a meeting with Bob Houston and have a conversation, with him about what what to expect, how Bob handled it, and, And I think Bob's even said that, you know,
He said that to me,
He's-
indicated that he'd be willing to speak
Yeah,
to
he-
whoever
and-
you appointed.
and I think that's probably the wise thing to do so he can catch up and, so anyway, if we can make that arrangement as well, so.
So for like my instances with those houses, do you still want me to work with Houston's office?
Yes,
Okay.
until,
If we have ongoing business, just.
until we till we have him on board.
Okay.
Yes. All right, EMS CAD contract changes. Did you get a phone call while ago? John,
What?
did you get a call while ago?
2 of them.
Yeah, probably the same,
One of them.
probably the same number.
Probably, I don't know. I had 2 different calls.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. I don't know what's on them though.
That's what I had in front of me.
You got a copy of it.
Yeah,
Basically what it is, we're getting a refund on activities and OD maps. We no longer use those two, items. Comes up to $1,190 refund. But we can integrate with the CAD system at the sheriff's department, our dispatch center. Basically, it's gonna cost us $805 with our refund. That's what we're wanting to do, so we can integrate into the CAD system.
so what were you doing before?
So before with the OD maps, I'm not for sure when that started, because I've never used it, and from what everybody says.
Is it a
before-
mapping system?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we have never used it. The activities was a thing on the ESO program that we first initially went with, but we are not using it because we use like EMS Academy for education. So it was included in another package.
So it sounds like you're streamlining some systems and you're getting a
Absolutely.
refund for not or canceling a part of a
Correct.
system, and you're gonna go with the CAD system at EMS or EMS.
Dispatch.
Dispatch 911.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's just, like I said, we've been trying to streamline everything. We're down to about 2 systems on everything. So Operative IQ does our supplies, ESO also links into that. So it'll give us how much we're using, how often we're using it, when it's going to expire, when we need to reorder. So we're just streamlining the entire system.
Okay.
So Lucas is your contact?
Lucas is the one that works with ESO,
Yeah,
and which is an employee of ours.
yeah. that's
So
what
he's kind of a computer.
Okay, he's kind of your computer guy.
He's the one that asked to head this up, so I let him head this up.
Okay.
Yeah, he's only limited on what he can do. Kyle and I still have the ultimate authority on
Okay.
everything.
Well, I just saw your contact and it said.
Yeah, and that's why they talked to him, because there's a lot of training you have to do with it,
And
as
he
far
can-
as,
you
right.
feel confident.
Because that's where we put our truck check systems, so when we do our truck checks is on there, our equipment checks are on there, non-transport unit checks is on there, our medications are on there, so all that stuff's on there, we can account for it. So we know exactly where everything is. He does not have access to the narcotics, Kyle and I do, because it needs to be a paramedic since we deal with the drugs, also with the narcotics as well. So, and that's directly through Dr. Crosdale. The hospital pharmacy is also in there. Their pharmacist is the one who gives us our narcotics. So we have to have an accounting system for that.
Same question you always ask, existing money or just additional?
This does existing money.
So it's just money you need, okay,
Yeah, we just needed your authorization because it is a contract
okay.
to transfer it over.
So you don't need to talk to council, you haven't talked to
No,
council?
sir,
it's
don't need
just-
to. It's already there.
I suppose why I'm asking is because, is this something out of the, and if it's already in your budget, is it necessary to come to us? Or are you just informing?
He's changing the contract.
I'm
You're
changing.
changing the contract.
So
Okay,
in
okay.
turn,
Yeah.
you know, we need to authorize any new
Okay.
contracts or
Yeah.
changes, so.
Okay.
Randy, you got any questions?
No.
I'll entertain a motion, because I think if we can streamline, save some money, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, we could, right away.
Randy makes a motion, John seconds, I'll make it unanimous.
One thing that was not on there, and we'll get this over with real quick. That's a contract, actually, it's just an application from Galls. The one provider that we have been using is Boundtree Par, which is where we get our medical equipment, but they're having issues getting uniforms. I do have page 1 filled out at the station. I just
So
didn't,
it's, I mean, it's just to change your uniforms?
yeah, but I still need you to sign it with it being a,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah. I just wanna let you guys know that we're gonna go with Gauls. They can get our uniforms in a timely manner. Tricia had to fill out the references on there. I did not have that information. But the page 1, I do have the station filled out in its entirety.
Everybody good with this? John?
Cause
All right.
we've been waiting 6 months to get uniforms and we can't be doing that anymore. And then the only other thing I have tonight is the ordinance.
I got a question. I know you said before, talking about overdoses and Narcan. Are we back, you back to doing something besides the nasal? You're back
While
with
we
the
while
drugs?
our supplies last,
Okay.
yes.
Okay,
And the reason, and I say that as long as we don't have no more increases.
I know that.
And as long as we can still get our hands on it, we're ordering as much as we can. I know Kyle ordered another 45 doses at the price that we were paying. So we're looking at that really, really hard, making sure that we can keep ahead of the supply. Because as you know, that we are above average.
Are we educating, police, sheriffs, fire
EMS,
about how many doses you actually should be giving someone?
somebody else has done that. We haven't, because we don't normally use the nasal Narcan. We just had it because it was extra at the health department.
Yeah, I just know that
There's been given.
EMS, I keep going, 911 will tell them, hey, you know, we'll tell EMS, hey, fire or police on scene, and they gave 2 or 3 Narcan, and they'll say, stop doing that. I mean,
Yeah,
'cause-
and the reason why is the nasal Narcan's double the dose. So they're starting out with about a 2 to 4 milligram nasal shot. And I've been told that they're starting out with 6 to 8. Some of the new vials are coming out 6 to 8 or the
Yeah,
new
they're
nasal.
bigger.
So we really gotta watch how much we're giving because we're gonna choke these patients, I would say. They're gonna.
The other part, and I, you know, I was a little mystified when the guy said it to me, but after he said it and we did it,
Made a difference, didn't it?
it made a big difference. Was that you wait till you get a non-breather mask and you spray them, you do
Or
that,
bag valve mask.
and it will actually work better.
Yeah, bag valve mask works because you're forcing it in.
Yeah,
You're pushing it down into where it needs to get in. Basically, it's getting down into the lungs to where it mixes with the blood as it comes through the system.
Yeah,
And it gets spread faster.
there
And you're
was a-
right.
there was a guy on the interstate we were doing CPR on, and I'd already Narcan him once, and he didn't respond to anything. And they said, before you do the second one, hang on a second, and I mean, he set up immediately, and then,
Right.
of course.
Well, we had one on Owen Street that she'd been given, I don't know, 14 milligrams nasal. And then we started bag valving her and she come right up, ready to
Yeah,
fight. So,
and I don't know if you guys know what we're talking about, but you can put a mask on them and breathe for somebody, and it's actually pushing air down into their lungs. So once you spray that in their nose, sometimes it'll just sit there.
Yeah, it'll go to the back of their throat and it'll just collect there.
Especially if they're, you know, agonal breathing or something like that, it just sits there. So if you force it into their lungs, then it'll sometimes work better, so.
Just make sure you have more than one person there because.
Yep.
Because they're gonna come out fighting, and that's the whole thing with the city police. And there again, I'm glad they're doing it, I'm glad the fire department's doing it. We just haven't had a case where somebody's, well, I guess we did have one, Smith. Kind of guy attacking in the back of the truck last fall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I Narcaned him at Pizza Hut,
Right.
and then you started fighting halfway to the hospital.
Right. So, the biggest thing is educating.
Yeah.
How many, what are we talking about? How many runs we've had this year?
This year, for overdose runs, as of the first quarter, we were at 36, and that was April 1st. And the entire year last year, we had 69.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be over. I mean, just this month alone, I know we've had another 15. I'm sure we had about 15 in April.
Well, I think it was 69 overdoses last year. 22 of them those died.
Yes.
So the other thing about this, and a lot of problems about that you are having, or we as a community are having, is that with people being able to access Narcan, there could be 120 overdoses and nobody knows who's overdosing anymore because they don't call 911. They treat themselves and then they just, you know,
So I'll be, how can I say?
be kind.
No, I'm not, I wanna be kind. The numbers are, there was 100 unrecorded in March or February, there was 100 unrecorded, undispatched overdoses. All right, so they were getting their Narcan from somewhere else. And I know,
Well, actually,
And I know the
the health department gives it
Right,
out. And
right.
how, and some of that report, because I asked Michelle to give it to me, was how many Narcan are you handing out to people? And they record that.
right,
And how many, so in March, how many Narcan did you hand out? And she'd tell me. So in April, how many did you hand out? And how many of them were the same person or whatever? And she'll tell you. I mean, the report,
sure
I don't
this-
have the numbers with me, but
Right,
I have
I don't
them. And so in turn, what I was making a statement at that time was, there's people overdosing, they're not being reported outside of they're
Correct.
coming to get more Narcan.
correct. And I think Thrive, and I forget his name, with Thrive, they were recording.
Phil
Phil
Stucker.
was recording 35 vials
Yeah,
a week, which is probably a safe number,
yeah.
primarily out of Scottsburg versus Austin.
Well,
They,
there's
and they
a
was
place
not,
there too, though.
right, and they was not, they're not being taken all at one time, they're over a week's period of time.
Yeah.
A 7-day spread, nobody's cleaning them out. So they wasn't aware that we're having a DD situation, and I think I talked to you guys about that last week, to where one person will stay sober, and you'll
Oh,
have
yeah.
5 more people.
I've known that for a long time.
In
They've
a
had
party.
Narcan parties.
Right,
Well, they'll argue with you about
well, I mean.
No, I mean, the people that are doing it don't tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, 'cause I mean, they'll tell me, yeah, well, here's what we're doing.
Right.
We're gonna do this, and one of us, like a designated driver, I mean, they're
So
gonna.
I would say safe, it's just like a meth lab. You find one meth lab, there's 10 more that you haven't found yet,
Oh, yeah.
and that's statistically. So if they say that there's 100 not recorded, it's
Right.
probably more like 200,
Yeah.
to be honest. And I mean, that's tick for tact, I'm gonna be honest with you.
But
they're
anyway,
but
what
they're
I'm-
taking care of yourself.
But what I'm saying is that those, you know, that's why a lot of the reports are skewed, because they're not a fact anymore. They're a fact of what you know, but there's a factor that you don't know. And technically, if you take what you just said, how many you're run on, 38 or whatever so far this year, or first quarter.
Right.
And then you take the numbers from the health department of how many Narcans they're handing out from month to month, and they can get it. I mean, it's a group of people. I mean, I think at one time, I think she told me 43 things of one month and 30 of the next month, or it's vice versa or whatever. But that told me that there's 23 overdoses that were not communicated to a police officer, to the hospital, or to an ambulance service. So those are unreported, and those people are, you know, they don't understand that I can Narcan you, it's gonna wear off if you have a large enough dose, and you would have a large enough dose if it put you out,
Correct.
it's gonna reoccur.
And it
So-
also depends on what they've used to cut the product, and how pure the product is, and what their filler is.
Yep.
You know, we're having people who's smoking marijuana that's getting a hold of laced PCP. You're getting guys, we're
I
finding.
knew they had fentanyl in some of the
They
marijuana.
do have fentanyl in some of their marijuana. You know, we are finding people that are using fentanyl with their meth. We're finding people now, not so much injecting it, but they're snorting it. They're smoking it more so than what they were in the past, because they're trying to get away from the needle situation, so they don't have the marks. But you get the ones that are bad, you're gonna see the marks. They know They don't care, it's out in the open. So we have to combat with that as well. And it's just like an alcoholism, it's an addiction.
Yeah.
What do you do to fix it? So,
You got that answer?
well, I do, but I can't say it. Everybody, and I think some of us just had a question. It's a morality issue. It's you don't want to see somebody die.
I don't, no, I mean,
You-
I'm probably the biggest opponent of the needle exchange, but I'm gonna Narcan probably somebody in the next few days, so I'm not gonna stop doing that. I mean, if I was hell bent to hurt somebody, I'd say I'm not gonna do it anymore, but I'm not. So I carry a case in my car. I mean, so I'm gonna help them until, you know, I
Right.
can't help them anymore, so.
Yeah, and that other subjects too. So there's probably one joint thing I think everybody can agree on, and it's just needle for needle. And that's been solely my sole complaint from a lot of people
Yeah.
is needle for needle, to be honest.
But I don't think it'll ever be there, but.
I don't think we can.
Well,
I
I
think
think
we close it up, but I don't
I
know.
think it's unrealistic.
We had
so.
Michelle and Jerome and Christina Fox all say that you can't.
It's
Yeah, I
unrealistic,
think
I mean,
that's
so.
true. I think you can try to close it up.
I think the biggest place, and they've done all the research, and they're professionals in their field. Canada had the same problem. I think it was Toronto. They actually started the Narcan thing. That's where all this started at, handing out Narcan and doing all that stuff. They were seeing the problems. I've not seen the paperwork or the numbers from Toronto since they've done it, and it's been 20 years. That would be a good case study to look at to see how, with their needle exchange program, has it bettered their community. That would be, and that would be one
You
thing to
know
think
what I
about.
think. We wouldn't even be talking about this
Correct.
in Purdue Pharma.
Right.
Well, the other part of
Wouldn't
this
even
is
be talking about it. It wouldn't
there-
be here.
I did see where, and I'd have to go back and look at the article I read. There is someone, and I don't think it's definitely not in the state of Indiana, but there was someone somewhere that started a needle exchange, and somehow, some way, they have their needles identifiable.
Sure, I'm sure that they could. I'm sure you could LoJack it.
But I was told that we, you know, and from the experts, I was told that you couldn't do that here because the needles are donated through a grant. So, and you don't know what manufacturer you're gonna get this week compared to next week or next month or whatever, but this particular state, county, or city, or whoever it was, I can't remember who it was at the time, but they made that a mandate in the law that you have to be, they have to be identifiable to that district or that area. So anyway, I've always said that, but there was always, you can't do it, so.
I don't.
But-
I don't want to comment on it because I don't. I don't know.
And I didn't want to talk about that.
No, I
But I
understand.
just,
Um,
anyway, what
Bring it
else,
up for.
what else you got?
The ordinance for the safe haven.
No, we're not doing that anymore.
That's fine, that's fine. I just need your guys' signature on it. That way I can go ahead and get the letter started to get.
So
signed.
we've already approved this.
Yes, you approved it the
That is
last.
just basically for me and our accounting purposes and State Board of Accounting to create the fund.
Okay.
So we can receive the monies.
So I'm gonna read this and then we'll vote, which if John, you vote against this, I'm gonna put your name down here.
Okay.
But anyway, ordinance number 2021-011, an ordinance establishing Scott County Safe Haven Project Fund, whereas has been determined that it is in the best interest of public health and safety to provide a secured place for parents to voluntarily surrender custody of an infant less than 45 days old to emergency medical services providers or provided in the state of Indiana safe haven law. Whereas it has been determined that there was a suitable location at the Scott County EMS station for the installation of an alarmed safe haven box for surrendering parents to safely place the infant. Whereas it is the desire of the Scott County Commissioners to establish the Scott County Haven Project Fund as follows. Now therefore, be it resolved to the Scott County Commissioners, Scott County, Indiana, Section 1, the fund from a private donations or public appropriations will be deposited in the Safe Haven Project Fund. Section 2, the Scott County Safe Haven Project Fund may be used as follows. Purchase of the Safe Haven baby box, alarm and monitoring equipment, along with continued care and maintenance of the box and equipment. This ordinance is in effect upon passage and signed by the presiding officer of the Scott County Board of Commissioners. Adopted by the Scott County, well, this, I guess I'm gonna say this, but this is adopted by the Scott County Commissioners, Scott County, Indiana, this 19th day of May, 2021, by a vote of, and I'm gonna ask for a vote.
I'll vote yes.
I vote yes.
I'll vote yes as well.
Can I
So,
say one thing?
yes.
Tammy, I forgot you to add this, construction.
Construction of the-
Construction to hold the box.
Oh, I gotcha.
Construction of the, because we're not
Purchase
putting
and
it into.
installation. I
Right,
should say, and the installation of the
Right,
baby box,
right.
and that would cover everything. I can change that later. Before
Right.
you sign it, I'll change it. If you'll
Okay.
adopt it with that
We
amendment,
just did.
okay.
okay.
I'll put that before you guys sign.
Because we're not actually, because all the fire departments it's at, they've actually drilled out the wall, put it in a concrete
So
block
it's-
wall. We're not doing that to ours. Ours is gonna be in the vestibule, which is already heat and air conditioned. This box will also have heating and air conditioning to itself as well. So we're actually gonna set it into a containment system versus drilling a
Did
wall.
I not see something from one of the Indiana legislatures that pushed this bill just a little bit more in the last little bit?
As a matter of fact, that bill was just passed April, should be going into effect June 1st.
And that raises the age of the child, doesn't it?
Correct. Also in that, there's another state legislature saying that the parents can surrender the child at the residence.
Anonymously,
Correct, at the residence.
yeah. And that's good. I don't,
And I just want you guys to know that we had a situation, a week ago, that this child was born
Ah.
at 3:30 in the morning. And it
yeah.
was at 5:30 at night before we got the phone call.
And it was a third party phone call.
Correct, and this child was in, it was dire need. We was back at the residence within about a week, but I'm not gonna discuss that
No,
here.
no.
But the point of it is, we're in a push situation on this. We're seeing more, we've already had 4 OB runs in the last month, and these are getting more serious as time goes on. This is no laughing matter as far
Yeah,
as.
I actually want to speak about that for a second. I want to congratulate Kyle
Right.
for receiving the award, which he came to this board and said that he was going to receive something from the state also.
Unfortunately, I didn't aim to say his name, but I did. He didn't know he's getting it, so.
Well,
Did then, didn't he? After
He
you
did.
said it,
Well, he
yeah.
didn't say nothing, but,
Oh,
yeah.
but then the other two Lexington firefighters that actually delivered a baby,
Right.
and that was a big, I'm sure that was a happy moment for them as well. So,
Yeah, and they're the first to go into the Stork Club since they reinstituted it. And it was Kenny Craig's first people to put in this since he's been the new EMS director. So
Yeah.
we provided the Stork pins for the girls, so we
Well,
we were.
I'm glad it
really
was
glad.
them and not me.
Right, yeah, it's, most people don't wanna do, the OB thing, doesn't bother me a bit, I've done 4 pre-hospital, so
So I'm glad you took the time to honor your employees.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
that was
it.
a good deal.
State, what's his official title?
The EMS director.
Yeah.
And the fire marshal couldn't make it, the governor didn't have enough time, but we're gonna get them down later on and do something probably in August. Just to reinforce it, when the safe haven gets put in, we're gonna have that. With a follow-up to that, Floyd County's trying to get theirs up in Lafayette Township, so we're gonna be working close with them.
So I guess the other part, you had, how's your funding going? So you gonna have the
Well,
money?
we've got, well, yeah, I hope so. With the letters going out to the churches and to some corporate businesses, I think we're gonna get it. I know not to Columbus or wanting to do something. I'm still gonna go to the
Hospitals probably.
hospital's gonna give some. United Way said they were going to, Scottish Rite, the Freemasons, which,
Oddfellows.
Oddfellows, John got one the other night, FOP has gave $100, so we're starting to get it. And I just want, with this getting solidified, we're making progress, we're setting the foundation correctly,
Yep.
so it's gonna form itself for many, many years to come. And I think with with the state of Kentucky not having any of these, and everybody in southern Indiana trying to get these, especially the ones that's on the river, because Spencer County, Warwick County, Switzerland County's trying to get theirs as well. It's gonna be a big thing.
Well, so where Clark County got one dropped at their fire station a few
2 weeks ago,
yeah.
it was the best 23 minutes of that firefighter's life is to get into that, so. With that said, those
Good.
guys can come over. Some things that's not known, the residents, first responders and the residents of Scott County has the first dibs in adopting this child if one's dropped off. Once that deadline goes away, then anybody in the state can adopt that child. So that child can actually stay in this community
Okay.
and do their thing.
Well,
So
and
that's
they-
pushed quite a bit, so.
And it ought to be, because that child probably came from this community.
Right, and I think with that one case scenario, we have one of our employees trying to do that same thing, so
Good deal.
it's gonna be something that's gonna be very advantageous for everybody.
So Tammy's gonna, I mean, this is adopted, we're gonna sign it probably at a later meeting, but,
I'll get it for you guys.
well, we'll sign
And
it
I
up.
just wanna let you guys know, we're gonna have to build the holding container for it, but we're not gonna tap into the building or anything like that, we're not gonna do any
So
special
it's gonna be a
changes.
standalone.
Correct,
Okay.
but it's
Sounds
still gonna
good.
have access, everything's, I'll bring in the,
Probably better
safe haven.
having them.
Well, if we was to ever move or get a different building, that will be easier for us to do that. I don't see that in the future, but I just know it'll make it easier for us to.
Well, if the building was built for that, in a
Right.
area for that, it would have been, I think it'd probably be better to have it built in the wall, because
Right,
you'll have a door out here, but the rest of it's gonna be inside the building.
right.
So,
I just think I can
but
best.
in turn, I think that'll be fine.
Right,
I mean, it's
so-
better than.
And I'll get those guys down there to do a site now. We got all this set up and getting this going. We'll get more official stuff and,
Well, I'll probably have a couple more places that's gonna probably
Right, right. And
give you money.
and that's the biggest thing. We wanna make sure everybody in Scott County, this is part of theirs. This is their future. So,
Yep, yep.
all right, gentlemen.
Thank
See
you,
later.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yep.
So Tammy, you're gonna have that at the end of the meeting, I just want everybody to know that's watching that, we're gonna sign that document at the end of this meeting or after the meeting's over, so. The next thing on our agenda is talking about the resolution that we adopted, before. And this resolution is, for the board, or Scott County and the Scott County Board of Commissioners. We were going to opt out of the opioid settlement, from Purdue Pharma. And per our attorney's request, we're going to rescind, or I guess we're gonna vote to rescind, that resolution. And there's some reasoning for that, legally wise, I guess, or, and I guess to give somebody some history, the reason we rescinded our, I guess, all right, yeah, there you go, our participation in the state's lawsuits. The state never filed a lawsuit. We, the Board of Commissioners of Scott County, actually filed a law, was one of the first to ever file a lawsuit against Purdue Pharma. And then because the state is going to receive the funds through a federal judge, we didn't like the way the money was going to be divvied out, so we kind of got out of it. So our attorney asked us to rescind that adoption, and I guess I'll take if you guys got a question or anything.
No, I was just gonna say, I know, and everything I've heard of the state didn't do anything too, but in my conversations with Randy and I was Zach Payne last week, he went on there and said, oh yeah, they did do something. I thought, okay, I'm not
I don't
really,
think they did.
but regardless, I think we're gonna opt out of opting out.
For now.
I'll make a motion.
John makes a motion to rescind the resolution.
Well, I think
Randy's gonna second, I'll make that unanimous, so we went and we came back, so.
Yeah.
And we might leave again, so,
And Mr. Houston also asked that you guys set a meeting to reconsider after he's researched and time has elapsed a little bit about your opting out again. And he would like you guys to think about the 23rd or 24th of June, real short, open meeting, just to entertain, and that John's not gonna be here that week though. Mr.
You guys
Houston is
can have it.
requesting close to the end of the month. I know the 28th is a Monday, June, but I don't think he thought that was a little bit too close for his purposes. Not
How you
for
doing?
sure.
He can't do it before the 19th.
So, he doesn't want you all to act on it before the 19th. He wants you to act later in the month, but not too late in the month.
The timing or something, isn't it?
He's somewhere after the 23rd or later.
I could do it by telephone,
Yeah, you could attend by phone,
yeah, driving down the road.
hands-free.
I had a wife drive, I
She
could,
You
don't.
have a Tesla?
that'd be legal.
Yeah, he can ride in the back seat in a Tesla.
I'll do something. I'll help out however.
So that meeting's technically,
It's on your, it's an off time because you meet
yeah,
16.
that's fine. I mean, Randy, fine with any date to there, yeah.
And this may be the shortest meeting we've ever had.
No, we've had shorter.
When?
23rd.
When?
And we can do it after like 4:30 or 5 o'clock or whatever on a Wednesday or Thursday night. It's the 23rd or 24th, your all's choice.
Yeah, that'd be me.
Hang on, man, let me see what the 23rd's a Wednesday, so that, let's just make it then.
So June 23rd at 5?
That's good with me.
I'll write that down. I think I'll maybe be able to attend that.
All right, being fine. Hands-free phone
June 23rd, 5 p.m.
at 5.
Okay, sounds good. Are we done there, Tammy?
Yes.
Creation of a new fund for receipt for the American Rescue Plan Funds Ordinance, 2020, or dash 20, hashtag 2021-012.
All right, this is based on a template, what you have on your packet. It's modified to say Scott County. This is what the Association of Indiana Counties sent out to the counties for their commissioners to adopt regarding the American Rescue Plan funds. To update you on where that is at with what little guidance we have had. Have any of you all heard of accessing a portal and having your auditor give all of her personal financial information, so to speak, so y'all can be the contact? It's not really financial, but I have to identify myself almost like I'm going to the B&B to say I need a license. I had to have a selfie that was done over my smartphone. I had all kinds of good things to do to be the point of contact. I have got us registered and I've got confirmation that the funds in about 4 days will be headed our way. And that's gonna be a 50% allotment of the county's ARP funds, all right? So,
The first round.
the first round.
Yeah.
Mind you, these are funds that can be dispersed and spent on commissioner-approved projects till 2024, based on the U.S. Treasury's guideline of how these can be spent, because like I alluded to earlier, if we don't spend them according to their guidelines, we owe it back.
Yeah, the one concern I have is that, and I think we talked about this a couple meetings ago, is that it goes on a special line item and then it takes the commissioner's approval to spend it.
So, and it does take into consideration, because there's a couple of different ordinance templates that's floating around out there. One's kind of geared more towards the city and this is geared towards the county. It says that all expenditures of funds shall be approved by the Board of Commissioners. It's really basically gonna roll out almost like normal business.
Like we do it
You
now.
guys come up with the projects, the council decides if they fund, then you guys work together, we collaborate, so to speak, and then you guys approve the final payment of those expenditures.
Okay, that's fine, but I guess it's not gonna be dropped in the general fund to be,
No,
Where-
this is,
where
and you're
somebody-
creating the special fund.
okay, that's what I'm getting at, cause I don't want, and I'm not saying they would, I'm just,
Right.
playing devil's advocate here, saying that if we have a line item and somebody goes, well, I need money to, for the budget time, and we're gonna just take it out of that fund, and without us the commissioners approving where the money's going.
If you look at item 5, it said the Board of Commissioners will establish the plan, conditions, and rules upon which the funds are to
Okay.
be requested and used.
I'm fine with that.
So
I
you
like it.
guys, again, kind of like you're driving our policy, you're driving our admin. Obviously, council to appropriate has to agree with what your plan is, but again, it's gonna follow pretty much the normal business. I would recommend, once this ordinance gets to moving and we get the funds in place, we have a joint meeting, because what you're gonna have to do with the ARP funds is make a plan of expenditure. So when you say, I wanna improve, Mike said regional sewer district a while ago, so you have to have your plan, you have to know what that cost is, and that's what council would appropriate, and then the commissioners would be over the expenditure of that plan.
And this is
Carry that
actually, if I'm wrong, this has actually been, Association of County Commissioners even, it says this is the way we're supposed to do it, don't they?
This is the
Yeah.
Association of Indiana Counties,
Yeah.
who's,
Yeah.
every
It's a
entity of the
different-
counties.
Yeah,
right.
it's a different organization,
Yes.
John.
But, and it has different criteria so far, but again, they said, hang on, there's probably a sequel to this, there's probably
Yeah.
more,
I don't-
parameters, more things to use.
I think, because the money's coming soon, I think we need to probably, my personal opinion, I think we need to probably adopt something like this. We may be able to amend it when we see some more language and some more information come from the federal government and the state. But I think because the money is days away from being here, dropping in our account, we need to make sure it's sitting someplace protected. And I don't mean that in a bad way, protected. I mean, I'm just saying that we need to make sure it can't just drop into a fund and somebody say, well, we got a bunch of money here, let's spend it. So
Well, and we wanna make sure that we try to totally follow their
Oh, yeah,
guidelines.
yeah.
And this is part of that, and that way we're sitting in a better position to defend
Well,
ourselves
if
if they
we're,
have a question.
if we got a problem, then it's the three of us is the problem.
So,
So,
Well, that could be.
so anyway, I guess I'll take a,
Do we need to read it or just do it?
I can read it, but I don't know.
I don't need to, I just didn't know. if
So,
that was-
Randy, you good?
I like it.
Randy makes a motion.
And I'll second the motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-012.
Okay, I'll make that unanimous. So we need to sign one of these.
yes, you do. And obviously, you can see the fund number hasn't been determined yet either,
Yeah.
but Teresa's gonna make that up, and we'll fill that in on the,
So to clarify, the way I understand it, and I'm sure you guys know more, maybe have heard more, but I was told that we're getting 50% of the money right now, and then in 2 years, we'll get the other 50%.
and actually a year from now.
It's a year, so.
But you
at first-
had till 24 to spend it.
Correct.
2000.
But I heard that it was in 2 different allotments, and the overall allotment was $4.6 million, so we should be getting $2.3 million in the next few days, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So anyway, let's, move on here, we may get out here in a decent hour. Looks like SCSD, is that Scott County School District 2?
Yes, it is.
Spring advance claim payment.
All right, you can see a copy of that in your folder. I've been asked by School District 2, it's not unusual, once collections close in the spring, my settlement's not technically due until June 30th. I have plans, usually I don't run it up to the wire, but, they ask usually for the 80% of their property tax collections that are set to go to School District 2, and I wanna pay that to them on Friday because they want it a month earlier than I normally would settle. So, you can see the allotment there.
So the money's there.
The money is there,
That's
and the
your
treasurer
money.
has certified, there's a process I go through.
Yeah.
And
It's-
I only
it's
distribute
property.
80%.
It's property,
tax.
it's property taxes to the school, which is a thing we do every
So
year.
you get it, yeah, it's their money.
Yeah.
It's their money. I'm just advancing them on their
Yeah.
spring.
Anybody's got a question, or,
No,
I'll accept the motion.
I'll make a motion. Pat.
John makes a motion, Randy seconds, I'll make that unanimous.
Thank you. And I
The-
sign that claim, so you have nothing for it.
Do what?
I sign that claim.
Okay.
so, yeah.
Virtual graffiti claim payment, yeah, I think,
And And that's Andrew.
This is Andrew's, yeah, he talked prior to the meeting. Andrew had it's a firewall module that he's bought, so,
He's pretty excited about it.
yeah. Well, after what happened with Colonial Pipeline, I think everybody needs to vamp up their computer systems, because I don't know what they'd hold us hostage for, but,
If I remember right, he said that money's already available, right? He's already been to council.
Okay, he's got it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, what we want to do. I'll make a motion, Pat.
John makes a motion,
I'll second.
Randy seconds, I'll make that unanimous. That's two of those. Looks like, okay, looks like the highway supervisor job description is,
What it is I basically need you guys to go back to the future again, I guess, like we did with this ordinance to opt out and opt back in,
Okay.
whatever.
I'll-
We changed it to director.
Yeah.
Now that you've got a supervisor position, we need to make the department head job description for the highway department called the highway supervisor job description again. Just go back to where we were.
somebody make a motion to, Randy makes a motion to reverse it back, John seconds it, and I'll make that unanimous.
Yeah, and he's gonna start,
31st, I think.
well, that's a holiday, so.
But it'll,
But yeah, good,
Good deal.
yeah.
Next thing on the agenda is administrative assistant hours at community corrections.
there's a letter in your packet, the timing of it, they hit council first, but council compensates, classifies, and on the salary ordinance, it usually lists the number of hours that a position is. Most clerical positions in the county are 35 hours a week. They had one over there that was tagged for 40, a couple others for 35. Well, history on that was that sometimes they had an admin assistant that also had teaching credentials, so sometimes that person would work up to 40. With the workload they've got over there now, they want all their clerical consistent at 35 hours a week, so nobody's getting ahead of another admin assistant position over there. So they just want to make sure that their admins are all allocated for 18-20 a year in hours instead of 20-40. They had one that was not consistent with the others. Because I remember when they came and asked for the extra hours because they needed it, but they don't need it now. So they want to cut it back. And you guys are the ones that approve their work hours.
What's the rest of this? It says, Scott County Community Corrections is requesting that all administrative assistants position be moved to a 35 hours weekly with 1,820
That's the
hours
18,
yearly.
20 hours a year.
Oh, so that's a total, okay.
That's a total hours.
I was like, I guess I need to read it all together, so. Okay, anybody, got any?
Council approved it, yeah.
So you-
John makes a motion,
Yeah.
Release that the hours.
Randy seconds it, I'll make that unanimous. So, what's this National Land Realty?
That was just something that got sent to me in the mail, and I just made you a copy for you guys to look at.
Okay,
That's nothing on the agenda.
Okay. all right, I guess we'll get down to the last here, payroll ratifications, everybody had an opportunity to look at the payroll, and everybody good with that? Make a motion,
I'll make a motion.
Randy makes a motion, John seconds it, I'll make it unanimous. We've got, consideration of the April 21st meeting minutes, everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes.
Yes, I'll make a motion, Pat.
John makes a motion, Randy seconds, I'll make that unanimous, and then we don't have them out here, so.
Oh, I'll definitely do it.
So, guess, we're at the end of the thing here, we're gonna end up signing this paper here in a few minutes, but, anybody else, have anything while we're
Let me throw something out.
closing here?
I was gonna throw out Pigeon Roost to you, I'm gonna be working on that, I think our committee's met, here recently, and, some of the things they're wanting done is, the, log posts that are down there that are like barriers to keep you around, most of those are rotted out and gone. They would like to, see if we got any posts, maybe the city may have some or whatever, like the telephone poles, the half poles. they'd like some
Like
of
for
them.
barriers?
Yes, some of those new put in. The fence, they pretty much all agreed now that we'll leave it like it is, and Collins is gonna put something new on the backside. Now, they have the money for that. They would like us to maybe get the highway department, somebody go in there and get us a drill, steel thing where we can drill that paint off.
I don't know.
Break that paint off and put some new on.
Okay,
Uh,
like a sandblaster.
They would like us to consider, paving it down through there, from the highway all the way up to the monument, or maybe not in the rock area, but the road's pretty bad if you've been through there. It's real bad, matter of fact. And I don't know how we'd do that. I know it'd be in your district, Mike, but I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all coming out of mine to be a part of that or all of it or whatever.
I think we can find a way to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've talked about this before, there's a couple trees down there that, Steve had, I think Hickman and, the other boy take a look, see what to replace them. They described to me like widowmaker trees. They're so bad that you can't really, if you start cutting them, they're not gonna go the way you want. They're just gonna come down. They're extremely dangerous. So I want us to look at that. I actually talked to John Abbott, and he's gonna go out and look at it, he hasn't, but just something to think about, and see what it would cost to all that area north of the monument, all the way back to where the old restaurant was, see what it'd take to clear all that out. It's such a thicket back in there, it's almost impossible to use, and we'd have to see what it would cost to go all the way back to Edrington's property. And that's kind of an issue anyways, trees and all that, it falls here and there,
Yeah.
we have to hear from it. So, that's really all. I just want to make sure you guys know where we're going. They're wanting to have, I think it's September 12th. They're wanting to do a rededication of the place on that day.
What day?
I think it's September 12th. It's the second Sunday of the, second Sunday. So, and I don't know how much we can all get done by then, but, I think the paving we could probably get done. We'll see what Abbott would charge to clear that out for us, whether he can even do it or not, I don't know. You've been by there, it's thicket.
So we got some goats?
Yeah, and, I don't even know how to get his equipment back in there, there's some of
That's
that.
why I say some
Yeah,
of the
but-
goats just fence it in for a while and leave the
Yeah,
goat in there.
well, that may be the best idea, but he said if I meet him down there, he'll take a look. He said he might even be able to take these two trees down we're talking about. But, I don't know, just stuff, even though this is what they wanna do, it's something this board has to agree to.
Yeah.
And if there's any concerns or additions we wanna pull onto this, you guys in your free time, or I don't know, you guys go down and look at it and have your own. Of course, they're also coming up with ways of cleaning it. We know how that is. The funeral home directors can, the monument companies have this stuff they get from somewhere and you can put it on, wash it off and all that kind of stuff. It all needs cleaned. And they also want to, and I think the county highway can do this again, if they have time. That's always a problem. Is where the monument is in the grave area back behind it, they want the county highway to just basically fill that in with some of the existing dirt. The grave is actually sunk. And there's some other there where the dirt is, where the sassafras tree used to be, they cut down. You could shovel over and level all that out. We might have to put a little sod over it, I don't know. And there's two trees inside that area. Apparently they're sassafras trees, and one of them they want took out, and the other one they want to leave and trim it a little bit, take some of the excess off of it. I'm not sure I understand that, but I think Tom Springs considers a way you got to do that.
And that's behind the monument?
That's actually in the graveside area, by the monument,
Okay.
inside the fenced-in area. There's
Yeah.
two little trees there.
Yeah.
And the tree is like it's significant because apparently the tree was there at one time when all this happened, so. I'm probably missing something, but, that is working out. Oh, yeah, I know what else I want to bring up to you. The cemetery, mowers are doing a good job.
That's what I was,
They're all over it, but they, and I think I mentioned this last meeting, they would like us to come up with one trailer. The ones we got down there, you can't put 2 mowers on. Well, I think somebody said I thought we need a 16-footer.
Yeah.
And they could put both mowers on, and they claim they can get the work done quicker and get on, because he says because of pigeon roosts, they're not neglecting the other ones, but it's harder to get to them and get them done in a timely manner. And if we had this trailer, which I don't know where to get one, actually, Randy, I think you probably know that better than I would, come up with some reasonable price, consider getting them a trailer. They're driving the old maroon truck right now, by the way, they put new tires on it.
Closed trailer, do they?
no, it doesn't need to be an enclosed trailer, just needs, I mean,
No,
no, Mike Lehman sells those down there, and
Yeah.
so does, what's the guy at Twin Austin? Reardon, yeah, Reardon.
Well,
sells
and I
them
had
down
their
there.
name mentioned,
I
but,
know, but my son tried to buy one from Reardon, and actually it was back ordered because of all this COVID stuff, so
Yeah.
I don't know if they got them back on production line or not,
well,
but
he mentioned it to me again, and I told him I'd bring it up, and, I
Well,
assume it would be through the county
I guess,
highway,
let me,
pay for it.
I guess let's look at the resources of the county highway. Do they have one down there?
They've got, well, no, that's what, they've got 2 trailers down
I
there.
don't know.
One you can load one on, the other one you can't get 2 on.
Yeah.
I don't know that I wouldn't go ahead and buy a 20-footer.
I don't know, I mean,
Just because, I mean, honestly, you're not looking at that much difference in price
Price.
once you start talking about the trailer itself.
okay.
So, and the future, whatever.
Well, I
You
just,
got that added benefit.
we just need to look, I reckon, and make a decision on what we wanna do on that. And like I said, I think they're all using county highway stuff down there now anyway, so I assume it'd be a county highway trailer.
Yeah,
And,
let's look around and see get some prices on them and see.
But they're doing good, if you went and looked at it.
Well, what about the mower? Did that fix it?
We went through that at the county, the last county council meeting, paid $800, and they're done, we're working, using it.
Oh, that's good, that seal
Yeah.
kit work then.
Yeah, yeah. That's a lot better than 20,
Yeah, 2,000.
thank goodness Dan Miles.
Yeah, yeah, thank him.
Yeah, I did.
You got anything, Randy?
No, that meeting was, on the 4th, right? June 4th at 10 to 1.
Yeah. 5 PM.
You're talking about?
Oh,
No, I'm
yeah,
talking
10 to
about the-
1, 10 to 1.
10.
10 to 1 on the 4th.
Yeah, at, Mass Center, yeah.
Yeah, that one,
Yeah.
yes. I just, is that all you got?
The science, right? American science.
Yeah, American Science.
That's it.
That's all you got? I just got one thing, and, I'm gonna be short. I'm not gonna say anything afterwards, so, hang on a second, sign this. I know there's a lot of,
You need to sign?
I know there's a lot of emotions going on with the needle exchange and the stuff that's going on with that, and a lot of people having comments and Facebook comments, and I for one have tried to stay off Facebook so that I'm not saying something that I'll regret later. But I just want to say one thing. Never in my days as a fireman, and that's been 38 years, and never in my days as being a county commissioner have I ever, hopefully I've never said anything negative towards any type of people. I say type of, that's not a good word, but I mean any people within our community, good, bad, or indifferent, but I don't respond to people in a negative personal attack to somebody, but I received one, and I'm a big boy. I can take the crap, and I can take the, people make me feel like I'm, lower than pond scum, but when somebody posts a comment that that includes my grandchildren, I think they've crossed the line. So you can be for
have an opinion on one side or the other, but if you wanna come after my grandkids and make comments about them, then, there'll be a special place for you one of these days, so, but anyway, I'll listen to all the people call me and leave me text messages, but, I will not respond to people that, have personal attacks against me. Actually, you can have a personal attack against me, I'll take that. But when you start including my grandkids, I think you've crossed the line, so, I'll just leave it with that, so. I was gonna read the message, and I don't want to. Was gonna tell who the person is, but I'm sure there's plenty of people that saw the post, and it's still out there. She's never said anything negative or anything different since, but she's still out there commenting on her side, and just like everybody has opinions on each issue, and sometimes we don't agree. I've disagreed with Johnny White there, I've disagreed with Randy, and I've disagreed with John, but just tonight. But we're still friends. We're not gonna talk somebody down. We're not gonna badmouth somebody, but I just didn't appreciate it, and I just wanted to say that, so keep it clean.
I agree with that.
All right, with that, I'll accept the motion to close the meeting.
I'm voting no.
I knew you would. Well, you stay here.
I second the motion, or make it, or whatever.
Yeah, I'll make it unanimous, so.
Yeah, I think I made it, I'm not sure, maybe Randy made the motion.
Turn the owl off.
Yeah, turn that out.
Yeah.